Okay, the browser failed to play the video clip. What an outrageously good start to the show tonight. Good evening, welcome to the LFC Day Trippers. This is an awful show. Hello, good evening and welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'm your host Keith. Tonight I'm joined by Matt, by Kev, and by Ashley. And you'll notice it's not the usual Sunday night lineup because Gav, Shawnee, and Emma are off gallivanting in Liverpool after going to see Arne Slot's first game as Liverpool manager at Anfield. But what a stellar cast we brought in to replace them. So we'll start off with you, Matt, because Matt was giving me awful abuse about why I was late. So we'll come to you first. How are you, Matt? I haven't seen you since you got your haircut. You look very dapper.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't done a lot of shows over the summer, so another couple of weeks and we'll be settled into our new place and be back into the regular routine of things.
Good to hear, good to hear. I'll start off with the match with you. I'm going to start off, right, the lineups. We're going to go through. Tonight, just for everyone, we're just going to go through the match, go through some of the incidents and what we've made of Arne Slot so far. So, Matt, the lineup comes out. What did you make of it?
I think that was pretty much what everybody expected. The news of Kwanzaa picking up a bit of an injury in training during the week. So it was kind of surprising to see Kwanzaa even on the bench. Thought he might be missing from the bench. But then, of course, we learned that Curtis Jones has picked up an injury. So that's why he was missing off of the bench. So I don't think there was ever a fear that Kwanzaa was going to get on to play. But nobody from last week against Ipswich deserved to lose their place from the second half performances that we put in. So absolutely no surprises whatsoever for me.
Kev, lovely hairdo as well. I might as well compliment you too. The first game of Slot's reign, were you similar to Matt, not expecting many changes, or did you think there might have been one or two players at risk?
No. I mean, they kept the Jones injury quiet. But I'll be honest, it goes to show how thin the squad is that Kwanzaa probably wouldn't have been on the bench if it wasn't an option to have Nat Phillips on there next. You know, that's where things are at the minute, that it doesn't take much of a knock to influence the choices that Arne Slot has available to him. But yeah, look, first starting 11, that picked itself. And I hate saying that. It's a horrible thing to be saying about a Liverpool side, but that 11 picks itself. There's no arguing about it. There is marked difference between that and what's available on the bench at the minute. And that's not a good place to be with a week to go in the transfer window, to be fair.
Look, we'll get on to that later on, I'm sure. Ashley, that is not one of them fake backgrounds that people put up for these things. People are commenting, what a great backdrop we have here.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it is. It's not fake. There is, however, rain like off in the distance over there, so I'm hoping that will stay away from me for this.
Lovely.
At least for this.
Now, tropical storm. I like that. That'll do. That'll do. What was your take on the lineup today, Ashley? Were you surprised? Was it as expected? Were you happy? Were you sad? Were you something in between?
I was very pleased with the squad. I think, like everyone has said, it does kind of pick itself. You know, I think that there are a few players that are probably sitting on the bench, maybe like a Harvey Elliott, that you know, might be kind of itching to get on a little bit sooner. But from what we've seen in the last two performances, I think it is very clearly like these are our 11 best players for the time being. So no surprises. I do think Kwanzaa being on the bench was, I didn't think he would be back so soon. So maybe that injury was kind of much to do about nothing. But yeah, overall, I was very pleased with everyone that was there.
And similar to you ourselves, lads and Lassie, I was expecting it to be the same lineup. There's something I think we'll see with Slot as the season progresses. I think we will see a fair bit of rotation and changes to the squad to keep players sort of fit. But I think we played so well last week, second half, that it was always going to carry forward into this. And you know, we look at the back four, and obviously the big one is Kwanzaa last week gets taken out of the forward line for Ibu Kanate. And Slot sort of clarified his comments that he made last week, you know, when he got asked and he was saying that the team were more so losing their battles and wasn't singling out Kwanzaa. I think this little injury that he got, or illness, or whatever it was this week, might have been just a little cover story, maybe to cushion the blow from getting brought out of the team. Because at the end of the day, when Konate's on form, he's one of the best defenders in the league. So it's not like we're doing anything too drastic by starting him. But with Brentford, Brentford are a good side, and Thomas Frank is a good coach. No Ivan Toney, obviously, for them. Looks like he could be on his way to Saudi Arabia at some stage, which is a bit of a crazy move, but it's a big loss for them. But Matt, I'm going to come back to you. The threat of Brentford is always there, especially I think with the front two that they have at the moment in Johan Visa and Brian Mbuemo. So were you worried about what they would bring? Were you worried about Brentford, the threat that they would have? And when you saw their team, what were you thinking from them?
Yeah, I mean the lineup on my on the international feed showed them going with a back three to start with, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They were definitely in a 4-4-2. But yeah, those two players, Visa and Mbumo, they stood up so strong last season when Tony got his suspension, and they made Brentford almost a tougher team to play against, and they really stepped out of his shadow because it was always Ivan Toney with Brentford, and so there was that concern because those two brought skills and attributes that the Ipswich attack didn't really have in them last week. We didn't really see that, like the Liam Delap type big man that you lump the ball up towards. Brentford don't play like that. They can be very dangerous on the counter, and so didn't really have an idea of how a slot Liverpool team was going to defend against that. And I mean, flying colors, like absolutely flying colors. Like you mentioned Ibu Kanate there, and I think he's a strong shout for man of the match. Like I thought our defense today was absolutely stellar. The few chances that they have that we'll get onto did not really come from Mbuemo and Wissa at all. It came from their big men and set pieces. So that was a bit of a concern. But other than that, I mean, you look at their lineup, they got the requisite about half a dozen Danishmen in there. There's not a ton of players outside of those two forwards that you look at and go, well, he could cause a little bit of trouble for us right there. So when they switched to the 4-4-2, it was a matter of like, okay, they're going to sit in their two banks of four. Let's see how slot ball works at breaking down that 8 guys in a solid defense and how we react to it when they have a counterattack. And I mean, it only took, I count 9 minutes in after we had our first corner where Szoboszlai's a bit slow reacting to the ball coming out for a second or a third opportunity, and Brentford get a counter. And the two guys from Brentford immediately have 5-6 Liverpool players running back to snuff that counter out. And that was heartening to see, the fact that we had all those players busting back to get back in a line and make sure that we weren't getting carved open early, because we can't have a return to that conceding in the first 15 minutes we had last season.
No, indeed. Kev, the game starts off. It's a pretty, I'd say, drab opening, maybe 10, 11 minutes. Nothing much is happening. And then from a corner kick, which is something we've seen under Jurgen Klopp many times, we're defending a corner and within seconds we're marauding up the other end and we're in on goal. What did you make of Diaz's goal, and were you confident that he was going to put it in? Because there was a few times last season Lucho might have missed those ones.
I was surprised he took it. He had the confidence to take it on his left foot.
Yeah.
I think that probably does the keeper. The fact that he took it early and took it on his left foot. It was a brilliant finish, but he hit it and it stayed hit. It was there was no placement involved in that. That was one of those ones he's just going to go early and high and take the keeper's legs out of the equation. It was a brilliant counter. I think I saw a post put up. It was the first time that we've scored a counter like that since, I think, Fulham last year. So like 40, someone did a stat that some like 43 counter-attacks of that nature. That's the first one that we've scored. We kept messing them up last year. Do you remember? It was like you'd see it and you'd have no faith in them being able to finish it off. It'd be like 4-on-2, 5-on-2, 6-on-3. And you'd be like, they're going to balls this up somehow. And this one, the run, Salah wins his battle first and foremost. That starts everything. Jota has the vision and the way to pass to put it on a plate for Diaz. Diaz cuts his run to tell Jota where to put it. And Jota's weight of pass was absolutely perfect. No, Jota was really quiet today, but the weight of pass on the ball allowed Diaz to take it in his stride, never tried to get it back onto his right foot. So he was, looking back and he was telegraphing what he was going to do. It was just going to be is he going to go across the keeper or is he going to go near post? He went near post, went high. Really good finish. And, it was a drab feeling out first 10, 15 minutes. And it was like, after that, completely relaxed. For the rest of the half, the more I was watching it, the more I was relaxed because they seemed relaxed. It was just like complete and total control of how to manage game with and without a ball. And not helter-skelter, not throw ball forward trying to win 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 or whatever. It was, don't get ahead of the ball. Don't be stupid. Don't take unnecessary risks. And build properly. And just play proper, sensible football. And look, you got to look back at it. The first 2 games we played, Ipswich had just come up. First game at home. Can be a banana skin. Brentford are going to be scrapping around relegation this season. They some like 38 points or something last year. It wasn't massive anyway. I think it was their lowest return since they've been back up in the top flight, and I don't think they'll be anywhere different this season. They're games you expect to win, but last year there were games that we were giving ourselves problems in these games. We were getting over the line in them, winning. Having to come from behind or winning 3-2 or 3-1 with a couple of late goals or whatever. This wasn't that. This was grown-ups against the children. And, we just bossed it, really. We were really, really good. Without edge-of-your-seat football, which is like a lot of people, including me, I'm going to have to get used to watching it because I don't like it. Hand on heart. There's a reason why I don't watch Man City. They bore the bejesus out of me. And they bore the bejesus out of me playing like this. This keeping possession, not possession for the sake of possession, but murdering teams with the ball. It gets frustrating to watch at times, but it's effective and it works and it will get results. And sides are going to hate playing against us. That's a certainty. You could see the legs of the Brentford players towards the end of it were gone because they were chasing shadows after a while. Couldn't get anywhere near it.
You're a hard man to please, Kev. You're a
I
hard
am.
man to please.
Well, no, look, I'll take the results. I'll take the clean sheet. I love a clean sheet. But we've had 9 years of watching some of the best, most scintillating football we've ever seen as fans. And it's my problem, not anyone else. I have to get used to watching normal, controlled football with a purpose. Nothing wrong with it. And it will get results. I just got to get back used to it because I was sat there watching that today with my legs up. It's like, yeah, we're just bossing this. It's just easy. And I'm used to like last few years, I just see head and hands pulling the Davo behind the sofa. It's like, I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think we're going to see that with this guy.
We'll come back to that. We'll bookmark this one. We'll come back to that. Ashley, I'm going to come to you now. So, the goal comes out of nowhere, really. It's a good goal. And I think Liverpool start to sort of take charge of the game. There's a few chances. Robbo has a chance and the keeper saves it. And I think there's a deflected one over the bar and things like that. But I want to bring you to another incident that's got a lot of traction. And Ryan Gravenberch got a yellow card for the tackle. And I was online and seeing a lot of people screaming for a red card on this. Do you know the incident I'm talking about, and what was your take on it?
I do. I think they described it as shin on shin in my commentary. They said it was reviewed by VAR. They cleared it. They passed it. I think that if his foot was raised and there were studs showing, I think it would have been a really different story, but it wasn't. There's always one tackle somewhere in the game that people are going to try to make contentious. And I do think it was like a full-blooded tackle, but I don't think there was anything particularly reckless about it per se. I just think it was a very strong tackle and it was deserving of a yellow.
I agree with you. It was Richard, what's his name? Richard Keys and Andy Gray, who are demanding red cards for this, so we'll take what they have to say with a pinch of salt. But actually, I'm going to stay with you. The first half comes to an end. The second half starts. Kev made the point that he's finding it difficult to enjoy this iteration of Liverpool after watching Jurgen Klopp for so long. I'm actually the opposite. I could deal with a bit of panic football that we had with Klopp, and I loved Klopp and I loved the Klopp football, but I think we probably deal with a little reset myself. But the second half comes, and I think Liverpool are brilliant in the second half for the second week running, and I think we do play some exciting football. What did you make of the start of the second half? Were you expecting it based on last week, and do you see a pattern developing there that we're just going to feel our way into games? But like, what was your take on the early moments of the second half, first 10, 15 minutes? Were you impressed?
I mean, I think that what we're seeing is that Slot probably is a very good tactician when it comes to halftime team talks, because it does seem like he's able to make some little tweaks and adjustments. And obviously last week it was, taking Kwanzaa off and putting Kanate on. So we didn't see any dramatic changes like that. But I do think that there was an element of control that came back into play during that second half. And it was like we sort of speeded everything up just slightly. I mean, it wasn't, I think around like the 55th minute-ish, there was that Allison save from the back post, which that was kind of where I felt like maybe we were going too far in one direction, where we were speeding it up and we were losing a little bit of that control. But I think it's just about learning that balance. I do think there's still going to be moments of like excitement, but I do think it's more of like a bide your time and wait for the right moment to pounce kind of thing.
Certainly, it's probably different than what we're used to. Second half goes on, but I don't want to go to the second goal just yet, Matt. I want to have a little chat about the makeup of the midfield, because as we all know, there's a lot of talk around Liverpool need to buy a centre midfield player. We desperately need a 6. We need this, we need that. What did you make of the midfield today? It's the second game. Obviously, this midfield lines up. Were you impressed with them? Did anyone stand out? What did you think they brought to the table? And can you see that midfield continuing for the foreseeable future?
I definitely, I'll go in reverse order. I think that midfield is our best 3. As much as everybody that's watched shows in the past that I've been on knows that I'm a big fan of Harvey Elliott. I think he's going to have to show something pretty spectacular to get the shirt back off of Dominic Szoboszlai. He covers so much ground. Like that, the first counterattack that Brentford had off of our first corner, it was Szoboszlai's mistake, and he was also one of the first players back there. And he just has that extra speed and ability to cover that ground that I don't think you quite get from Harvey Elliott. But as a whole, I was very happy with the midfield. I was singing Gravenberch's praises last week. I thought he had quite a good game, especially in the second half. I think he had another pretty good game in the 6. We all know it's not his natural position, but he's a young player. He can learn things. He can develop. It's not like you're born a 6. Players are taught to play in certain positions. So he's obviously learning on the job, but you can see why the club is giving the justification for not going out and getting just any 6 to fill that hole, is that to play that defensive midfield position in the way that Slot wants to set the team up to play, it's obviously not suited to Endo's skill sets. It might have been absolutely perfect for a Martin Zubimendi type, but the next best option to that might very well be Ryan Gravenberch if you give him another couple of games to get his feet underneath him. But to me, the thing I was happiest with to see was the improvement on Alexis McAllister's game, because he's just outstanding. He's so good. And I thought he was quite poor actually in the first half against Ipswich. Came into it a little bit more in the second half. But in this game, it was very clear. Like, it's so clear to see how we're set up to press out of possession, that Szoboszlai goes up and joins Jota at the front, and it's 4-2-4. And you've got a very clear double pivot of McAllister and Gravenberch in there. And then the 4 forwards that are pressing the ball, but not like maniacs and, always going. Sometimes they're willing to drop off to the halfway line. So I thought they were working together really nicely. A lot of good interchanging in there. And then the other thing that I really liked is those right-sided triangles that we saw in the second half last week of Szoboszlai, Trent, and Mo Salah. They've got a pretty nice connection. between the three of them in there. So yeah, it's tidy. Like, it's not to say that we couldn't improve on a number 6. Rodri would make us better. Yes, he would. But early signs, Gravenberch, that might just end up being his position if he can keep improving in it.
Kev, what do you think? Do you agree with Matt's take?
Yeah.
Is there anything you would add?
The shape of the ball in the middle of the park, the 4-2-3-1, it's going to take a very good side or a real bad mistake for someone to break through it. It's Szoboszlai, his legs give you so many different options in the middle of the park. You can play 4-3-3 if you want to, but his energy, he's just got a great engine in him. And Gravenberch and McAllister, their understanding as a two will come more and more with time. Gravenberch's really comfortable on the ball. I think going back about a month ago, we were doing a show when I said jokingly, well, I didn't say it jokingly, but I said to Gav that I thought Gravenberch could do a job in a 6. And he's got all the physical attributes, 6'3". He's got good vision. He's got a good pass on him. And he's done, he grew up as an 8, so he's got composure on the ball. And he's young. He can learn it. He's got all the same physical attributes as Fabinho, but he's a better footballer. So it's something he can grow into for sure. The only worry that you have is down the line is volume of games. And even though it might not look like we're expending a lot of energy, there's a lot of work went into those performances, especially today. The work rate of all of the players on and off the ball, forcing Brentford into areas of the pitch where we wanted Brentford to play in. We blocked off the middle of the park completely. The energy that takes, it will take a toll after a while. So that the midfield will need help, in the next few days. Hopefully they'll get it. But you can't complain. I mean, it's night and day watching the two different setups from last season to this season. And it's going to get better. When they move the ball quicker through the thirds. There was some movement in the second half when they just played simple balls but played them quickly, and the movement off the ball to allow Brentford didn't have a clue. And they're an experienced side who are pretty good at defending their shape. And we looked electric in moments, and you're only going to see more and more of that. All positive sides so far. All positive.
Actually, I see comments in there about Gravenberch playing in a 6 double pivot at Ajax. You commented on it there. Now, I know when he was there, he was nearly the McAllister in that team, because it was Edson Alvarez was the defensive player of the pivot. Do you see his future there, or do you think Liverpool will dip into the market and do something in that position?
I mean, I think Ederson played more of like the destroyer, but sorry, completely just lost my train of thought. But in terms of Gravenberch, where I see his future, I think he can be whatever he wants to be. He's Dutch. They're raised as very complete footballers, and he's also only 22. So, I mean, him and Morton, weirdly enough, are less than 6 months apart. And so you look at Gravenberch and you think, oh, like, he's so much older because he has the stature and everything. But I think Slot can kind of mold him into whatever he wants. My concern with him is the lack of full season football that he's had so far. He hasn't played a full season in about 2 years at this point. And I do want to make sure that he is being managed properly when it comes to playing consistently 90 minutes of football, and especially when it comes to playing 2 games a week. That's where I think the need to dip into the market might become more prominent, because I don't think that you can put Endo like a plug and play there. I don't think that we have that natural player unless you were to drop Szoboszlai deeper and then try like a McAllister Szoboszlai pivot type thing. But yeah, I think the world is his oyster at the moment, and it's great for him to have an opportunity to kind of nail down a spot in the squad. I do think that maybe Jones coming back from injury could also maybe fit in there. But time will tell. I don't know. I don't have huge hopes for signings at this point in time.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do anything, and certainly not in midfield. I don't think there'll be any. I think what we have is what we're going into the rest of the season with, and it'll be interesting to see the dynamic and how that plays out. I don't think, again, though, just looking at the way we set up and play, tell that seagull to shut up, will you? It's annoying me. The way we set up and the way Slot seems to want to play. Actually, I'm only messing. You don't have to go on mute. I'm only joking. The way Slot likes to play through the midfield and very much possession, and be comfortable on the ball. I don't think we're going to get rid of Endo either. I think Endo's role will be sort of what we saw today. You know, he'll be coming on in games when we just want to maybe clamp things down, and I think that's how we'll go. But it'll be interesting. I think you made a good point there about the game management and the legs of Ryan Gravenberch. The fact that he hasn't played much football, certainly last season at Liverpool, he plays a bit, but not regular, and at Bayern Munich. I mean, he's in the Ajax team since he's a very young player, so hopefully that can work out. But time, I suppose time will tell. I thought, Matt, I think you touched on it. I thought McAllister was very good today. He doesn't get a lot of the praise or the credit, but you know, I think he puts a great ball into a wide area for Trent, and he pulls one across. It was a little zinger over the top. It was a great little ball, and then there was the little 1-2 move with Salah coming in, and you know, if they could have got on the end of that, a little bit of guile and
I'm happy you mentioned it, Keith, because I wasn't going to let you go on to the second goal before talking about that. That was some of the silkiest, sexiest football I've seen out of Liverpool in a long time. That was absolutely gorgeous, and it just shows that the players that were back in early for preseason, Szoboszlai, Mo Salah, that they're in tune with each other. They've been doing these rondos with each other for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It was that was exciting. That's one of those goals that wasn't that you really wish could have been, you know, like the Suarez off the post against Arsenal sort of thing. Like one of the nicer goals that actually wasn't a goal that you'll ever see. But just it's exciting. Just so happy to have the football back.
Oh, it's great, isn't it, Matt? I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to let you have the second goal. It comes in the 70th minute. Talk me through it.
Yeah, it's it's Mo Salah again. It's 6 goals in 6 games against Brentford. Makes him the most goals against Brentford in the Premier League out of any player. It's Szoboszlai does fantastically well in the middle of the park. He wins the ball back against ex-Liverpool player Fabio Carvalho, who just kind of gets shrugged to the side, and you see the difference in size of frames between Szoboszlai and Carvalho. He gets the ball into Luis Diaz, and Luis Diaz with a perfectly timed pass. Mo Salah just being kept on side by, I'm not sure who that was, Roerslev maybe, on the far side of the pitch with a foot just keeping him on side. And just the exact right touch that you need. It's the sort of finish that Mo was kind of missing towards the end of last season when we really kind of needed him to step up. And he seemed to be having a little tougher time in front of the net, just putting the ball into the back of the net. It's such good signs, such good signs for Mo. And I mean, keeps ticking off records. Like I said, more goals against Brentford than anybody else. He also moves ahead of Robbie Fowler for most goals at Anfield. So, you know he's got that just like on a wall, again, a chart on a wall in his bedroom sort of thing. It's like tick, crossing another name off, and then he just sees one name ahead of him now on a lot of these things, and it just says Ian Rush. So, like, if you want to catch him, Mo, just 3 more years. Give us 3 more years. You keep producing the way you're producing. Keep coming back every off season in better and better shape, like he seems to every single season. But yeah, it's happy days that make hay while the sun shines, in farmer speak.
I seen the stat came out in 128 Premier League games at Anfield. Mo Salah has 128 goals or assists, which is an outrageous stat. It's the sign of an elite footballer who, let's be honest, has gone through some poor periods over the last, certainly, I'd say 2 years, you know, and you think of what it could have been, you know, and this is what we have is purely an excellent footballer. It's great to see, and I hope he signs on. I was sort of hemming and hawing about, you know, maybe letting Mo move on. I hope he stays. I hope he signs on. I hope Virgil signs on. And Kev, I want to come to you. So 70 minutes, we get the goal. And on 72, I think it is, there's a triple change. We see Nunez comes on for Jota, Gakpo comes on for Lucho, and Conor Bradley comes on for Trent. Now, I'm not looking to dig Trent out here. What did you make of his reaction?
It's no different to any time he's been substituted when he's just getting into a game. It doesn't matter who the manager is, doesn't matter what age he is. He's a huffy fucker when he gets hooked. He always has been, he always will be, and people can like it or lump it, to be honest. As long as he puts in performances like he did today, he can go and sit and kick and throw water bottles all around the place for all I care. As long as he turns up next Sunday when we're playing Man United and puts in another 7.5, 8 out of 10 performance, grand, don't care. Will he stay at the end of the contract? Who knows? Everyone becomes a body language expert when it comes to
I'm a body language expert. He's gone.
I'd say he is as well.
Wouldn't even play him next week. I'd drop him. Wouldn't even play him. Gone. Wouldn't start him again for the rest of the season. I'm only messing with you, relax.
But the thing is,
I genuinely, I do think he is gone. I do think he is gone, and I think the contract situation, all joking aside, I think the contract situation and the acts of petulance, and look, I don't mind the player having a little strap on that taken off. I do enjoy it, you know what I mean? What I didn't like was that he sort of carried it on a bit at the end. I think, you know, look,
I think he's come out on social media tonight and he's put up a post, thank the fans, all that kind of stuff, what all the players do at the end of the game and what have you. But it's because it's Trent, it's going to get magnified tenfold. The thing is, as long as these contracts remain unsigned or as long as there's nothing settled on them, it's going to be every press conference, every player interview from now until a decision is made public. So you can either decide to polish up your answers and flat bat all of it away, or when the window closes, they have proper negotiations with all three of them, make a real decision on all three of them. And I don't know if they'll make it public or not, but you know, I think they probably will. I think they'll put it out there that the players have been offered, they're in negotiations. They've come to an agreement that they'll either stay or they'll go at the end of the season, and then it goes away. Then it becomes a different problem. But it's not gonna stop people microanalyzing every instance of every performance, because if they throw in a bad performance, it's because their head has been turned and they're looking at the money elsewhere, or you know, there'll be a litany of excuses out there. I honestly thought, to a man, everyone today had a good game. Now Robertson got over too much stick last week. Today he was so unlucky in the first half with that goal, that shot on goal where he hooked one into the near post and keeper made a really good save. Their keeper today, Flecken, he was very good. He was our man of the match without a doubt.
Surprisingly enough,
and the second one in the second half, the header. Remember Jota, the one you were on about, McAllister to Trent, the volley cross back, bicycle kick, and the fact that he was there at the far post to get a header back across. You know, most fullbacks would have been on their bike looking to get back into position. He just waited in the off chance that something might happen. Trent today, some of his passing was ridiculous. There was a spear pass that he played halfway through the second half that led to a chance. And I'm like, and then he gets hooked. And it's like, he wasn't playing bad. I can understand why. You know, you've got to get minutes into Bradley's legs as well. It's a long season ahead. But at the same time, he was playing well. And I can understand him having a bit of a, fuck's sake. You know, I can't believe I'm being taken off. Take someone else off. I'm enjoying this. You know, but that's the way he is. He's always been that guy. So he's not going to change.
All right, way to dampen the digging out of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Kev, you're killing me there. No, I'm only messing. Ashley, do you agree with Kev? Do you think there's sort of much ado about nothing around all the body language experts? Again, all joking aside, or did you read anything into it? Are you happy that things, will just be as they are while the contracts are up in the air? And, if he gets whipped off against Manchester United next week, we'll see the same reaction again, and it's just human nature.
I mean, I think that Slot has mentioned a few times that he's all about load management. And I think that this isn't going to be the first or the last time that big names are going to get pulled off. So I think that the players are going to have to get used to it. My one issue with Trent and his sort of temper tantrum thing is the fact that he's been given the vice captaincy. And I do feel like when you're given the armband, there comes like a second layer of responsibility. And I mean, he's a competitor. That's why he's pissed off, and I get that, and I do want that in our players. I want to see them hungry to stay on, but at the same time, I want to see just a tiny bit more leadership from him, just to sort of demonstrate to some of the younger players on the team like how to act. Maybe that's never going to happen from him, and he's not that player, and that's more on like Virgil to be that guy. But I don't know. I just hate the fact that he had a fantastic game. And we're sitting here and we're talking about that instead of the amazing range of passes that he did throughout the game. And I feel like if he could take a step back and realize that that's it just takes away from his game to be like that. It's not necessary. And he's 25 years old, I believe now. I think that it's time probably to just grow out of it a little bit. But that's just me.
As someone in the chat pointed out, actually, when he's getting the curly finger and getting whipped off for England, he's all smiles and claps. So maybe a little bit more, as Kev said, the resting bitch face, maybe wear it off on that a bit. But who knows? But actually, what do you think for the contract situations for the three players? How do you see it panning out? Because I think as fans we all get overly excited about it. There was a picture of the Kop or the Annie Road with a couple of blued out numbers a while ago, and we all thought it was 66 20 28 or something like that. And then there was a video of Mo and Trent last week with a green screen. People are saying, could it be? Do you agree that's just going to be sort of, until something is announced one way or the other, we're just going to have this speculation all the way through? And how do you see the three contract situations playing out?
I think it's natural to kind of make up stories when you don't have information. I mean, I think about the interview that came out last night with Allison, where we were kind of all freaking out with the Mamadashvili signing.
Very nice.
Yeah, not really, but we'll go with it.
That's correct.
We were all freaking out with the signing, and then he comes back on in this interview, and he says, "I'm happy here. I want to see out my contract. I maybe want to sign a new contract." So what's on the surface isn't necessarily what's going on behind the scenes, and we're obviously not privy to. Sorry about the seagull. We're not privy to what's going on back there. So I am going to stay optimistic for as long as possible that at least a couple of these contracts are going to get extended, because I think it would leave a monumental hole in our side. Sorry, the seagulls are driving me nuts.
We're all enjoying this. We're all enjoying it.
We're all living here in jealousy because I'm telling you, it's not like that here.
If one comes it's certainly and not like that. On my shoulder, I will freak out live. So just fair warning. But yeah, no. Getting back to the topic, I'm hoping that at least 2 out of the 3 continue. I think it would be a huge mistake to let the 3 of them go next season, and I think obviously for right now, their attention is on the transfer window. But when that transfer window shuts, the attention is immediately going to be diverted onto these contracts. And like you said earlier, they're going to have to be prepared to answer questions, because the fans want to know. These are like our icons at the club right now. They're not fringe players that we're talking about. So just in terms of knowing where we stand, I think that they're going to have to answer some questions there.
I think we need to watch out for whatever David Ornstein says on this, because it seems pretty clear at the moment that Richard Hughes and David Ornstein have a little thing going on, and he's the one I'd be listening to. So we'll be looking for any nuggets from Eldorney to see what's going on at the club with regards to that. Matt, obviously we win the game today, right? We come out 2-0 for the second time in a row. It's a good win for Liverpool. It's similar to last week in the sense that it's a slow first half, but it's a much better second half. It's a dominant second half, really, where we don't look like conceding, if I'm being honest. The same last week when we don't really look, we look much more solid defensively. Let's jump ahead to next week. So we go to Old Trafford next week. How confident are you feeling? And can you see the same team lining up again? Do you think there's going to be a consistency for the team for 3 weeks before this international break creeps up on us?
I think that's nail on the head talk right there, Keith. I think it's going to be same as, if Kwanzaa won his battles against Ipswich in the first half, we might have seen the exact same 11 go for these first 3 games, get to the international break, see which of our players inevitably pick up an injury playing a completely meaningless friendly somewhere around the fucking world. But yeah, I fully expect us to see the same go again. I would like to see some changes to it because, like, towards the end of the game, you said, and we did, we dominated. I'm just looking at my notes, and I don't have anything even remotely resembling a Brentford chance after we get our second goal. Like,
They had the header. They had the header from a short corner.
Oh yeah, that was in the 80th minute. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh no, wait, no, that was a defensive header. Was that not before that? I think that was before that, wasn't it? Ali's saying you're talking on Collins. Yeah,
that was the one. Yeah,
that was in the 55th. So after we scored our goal on 70, there was literally nothing left in the game.
No.
But it was when we made that raft of substitutions because it was the first time we got to see Darwin Núñez play under Arne Slot's team. And the big takeaway I had from that, because I think it's a make or break season for Darwin Núñez. I think if he doesn't kick on, I think he's out the door next summer, or possibly even in January. Like, if he just doesn't fit and Slot doesn't like him, the people in charge of the outgoing transfers have shown that they have absolutely no problem getting rid of players. They don't care about the numbers. They don't. It's like if an offer comes up, you're gone. So I was interested in watching Darwin Núñez because I'm really pulling for him, and he was such a willing runner. 3, 4, 5 times that he curved his run, he got himself onside, and he went to look for that early ball. But we're up 2-0, and we're not playing that early ball anymore. Like, that was a ball that under Jurgen Klopp's team we would have played. We would have looked for that third goal and potentially opened ourselves up to be hit on the counter when we're pushing forward, looking for another goal. And instead, Darwin's making this run, and the ball is getting played back to Konate, played back to Alisson, out to Virgil, and we keep the ball. And we absolutely smothered the shit out of it. But I would love to see Darwin Núñez have the chance to run a Harry Maguire. How could you not want to? I mean, in terms of available speed, you couldn't get a bigger discrepancy in the entire world between an actual human refrigerator and Darwin Núñez. So I'm really looking forward to it because, I mean, first off, the United match was hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. That offside goal is one of and it is offside. There's no way around the rules. Unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the Persian Emperor Xerxes, but it's offside, and it is absolutely hilarious. But their defense can be got at, and our forwards look like they're on it. So yeah, I'm not going to be 13-0 confident or anything like that, but I think we should be going there feeling like we can take all 3 points from Old Trafford because there's still a bit at sea. Ten Hag still doesn't seem to have any sort of idea of how he wants his team to play. Like, they just look like they were trying to beat the high line from Brighton, hook a long ball in, and hope that your wingers can do something miraculous against Brighton when it was 1-1. And I think we're set up pretty well to play against that. And they're trying to counterattack against us versus us counterattacking against them. I think we win that battle.
I like your optimism, Kev. Matt touches on Darwin Núñez there, and look, it's safe to say Darwin Núñez divides, splits opinion. Some people like him, some people don't. He may not start next week, but can you see a world where he plays a big role? Because again, going back to what Matt was talking about, Harry Maguire, I don't think Harry Maguire will play next week. I think Matthias de Ligt will come into that team. And even if he does come into that team, I don't think it makes them, any more solid or strong. I think Maguire sometimes is unfairly criticised. I think he can play well. and drop a bollock, and you just forget that he played well. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the error is what people jump on. I don't think the lick is going to make a huge difference. He may over time make a difference, but I don't think he will sort of this soon. Can you see a world where Nunes can spring into life against Manchester United with the sort of, I hate saying the chaos that he brings, but you know, it's like throwing a bouncy ball in there. You don't know what's going to happen. And with a new defence, you know, Mazraoui doesn't look great either. Can you see a world where Nunes can play a big role in this game next week? Or do you think it's just going to be a 20, 15-minute cameo off the bench, similar to today, where he doesn't really do much?
I don't know. And that's the thing with him, because the way we're building up our play, it suits Jota. Matt alluded to it there. The amount of runs that Darwin made off the ball that he never got it. And I don't know because you see Virgil playing the long ball to Salah, but it's a different ball game playing that long ball through to Darwin when you're trying to get into run at players. Do you want him coming short, getting the ball and turning and running at players? I don't think we're even going to play that way. I think he's got the biggest challenge ahead of him to try to fit into how this side plays. And if he can get it right, he'll get chances. Will his finishing stand up to scrutiny? Who knows? I hope it does, because there's so much about his game to like. You know, raw pace, aggression. He's better than what people think in the air. So the one thing that you look at with the way that we can attack with the two fullbacks, if they decide to hold their position and stay wide, you can get balls into the box for him. But I honestly think it's going to be a real work in progress with him to try to give him the service that he needs, because they're playing it with two different strikers with two different ways of playing. That you almost have to approach both of them different ways in how you create chances for them. On United, I've never seen a side screaming out to sign Emmanuel Ugarte like Manchester United need that player. You put him in the midfield with Kobe Mainoo and Casemiro as a 3, then they'll protect the back four a lot better. As it stands, the back four gets open to it's the sides that can get at them too easily, because the midfield is like party of the Red Sea from when Casemiro's legs are gone. From about the hour mark on, in most games, his legs are gone. And unless you can make changes off the bench, that's when sides get at United and the chances flow. I think we'll pass them off. The Old Trafford pitch is big. And if you can keep possession and force Manchester United to work, to press, to chase the ball, then the way we're playing, the way we're approaching these games, we could have a really good day there. But it's Manchester United, Liverpool. We saw last season. Anything can happen in these games. We can go there, dominate everything, dominate the ball, dominate chances, and not come away with a result. You can't take the 4 and the 5-0s, the 7-0s. Those games are freaks. Generally, rule of thumb is you're going to Old Trafford. It's going to be a hard day's work, and you get 3 points, and you thank your lucky stars that you get 3 points, because it generally doesn't happen very often. It doesn't matter where United are. This is a different fixture. It's a unique fixture in that respect. So I just hope we turn up on the day and Arne Slot doesn't get dragged in with the media as well this week in the build-up, because there's only League Cup football on midweek, and we're not involved in it. So hopefully he just approaches it like he would do Feyenoord Ajax game. You play the game, you don't play the occasion. It's not going to be like every question. It's your first game against Manchester United, Liverpool. The questions he's going to be asked. It's got to be tunnel vision. And the players have to be tunnel vision and approach it in the right way. And we have a really good chance of getting 3 points there.
Exactly. Actually, Kev touched on it there a bit with the attention that's going to come his way this week with the game. And I think it was on Bork in the chat was mentioning about how Klopp always maybe paid a little bit too much respect to going to Old Trafford. Can you see Arne Slot falling into that trap? and it's hard. I know it's hard to make a judgment because we've not seen much of him. It's all new. But do you hope maybe that he doesn't maybe treat it with the same, and I don't mean this to sound too disrespectful, but treat it with the disdain it deserves. Do you know what I mean? That it's not the great Old Trafford and the great Manchester United and all this sort of nonsense. Can you see a world where Slot just keeps them going and just focuses and doesn't get dragged into the crap that Kev is talking about?
Yeah, I think what we've seen of his personality is actually a great asset when it comes to games like this, because I think what happened a lot of times with Klopp is we always kind of fed into that emotion, and I think the players fed into the emotion off of Klopp. So Klopp would get engaged in whatever sort of press conference drama there always was, and then it would seem like the players would sort of follow suit, and they'd always be sort of jumpy, and you didn't know whether it was going to go one way or another with a Manchester United game. But I think with Slot, he seems like he's very much down to business. He's very much an analytical data kind of guy. I think that if he can kind of approach this game with the same sort of just methodical control that he seems to really like, I think that will really suit us when it comes to just kind of fighting off some of those external factors that come with playing with Man United. And I think, when you touch upon Núñez, I almost don't want to see him, because I think that if we do see him and we see that chaos, then something's probably gone wrong. Because I don't think he's quite at the point where he's been honed enough to play in that really controlled front line quite yet. I think that, time will tell if he can learn that. But I think you could see a difference. Not that he played poorly, but you could see a difference between the fluidity of the front line when he was on versus when Jota was on. So yeah, I think hopefully we will keep that kind of control and leave the chaos for another game. And we all want to see a 7-0 scoreline, but I'm okay with this kind of a controlled approach to next week.
Yeah, look, I hope that Arne Slot doesn't fall down and get bogged down with the carry-on, because Kev, I think you're spot on. I think it will be every question in every press conference and every time there's a camera near him will be about Manchester United. And I hope he does continue, as Ashley said, with this sort of approach that we get these 3 games out of the way, we go with the same team again, we just keep, if it's a slow start again, hopefully it's a quicker start, but if it's a slow start, we've nothing to worry about. We don't panic, we just keep going, and hopefully we can get something out. I was trying to get a quick prediction of you for next week, how you think it's going to go, before we move on to man of the match for today's game. So Matt, I'll come to you. How do you see it going? I know it's hard to predict these things a week out, but people will clip you if you're right. They'll clip you if you're wrong as well.
3-0.
3-0 to us.
3-0, all the forwards scored. Diaz, Jota, Mo, all scored.
I like that. Yeah, I like your optimism. Just a mic drop, is it? Just a 3-0. Get out town, Keith.
Yeah, boom.
You're getting too cocky with the James McAvoy comparisons there. Kev, what about you?
Me. That wasn't me. I'll just take it.
You're embracing it, but
I agree with Kieran in the chat. Kieran B in the chat, 2-0. I watched them the other night against Brighton. We done the show on Friday night, and we all picked Brighton to beat them. But they were in it all the way through. It was a late goal. It was a deserved win for Brighton. We'll get chances against these. Fancies Diaz again to cause them a lot of problems. I thought the fullback they got in for Brighton, he looked a good player, but it's still the partnership between a right back and a centre back on that side that takes time to develop. And I think Luis Diaz can exploit that. He looks like he's in top form at the minute. He was brilliant again today. Yeah, so yeah, I'd have Diaz to be our one to watch in that day.
And so you're going with the now trademark 2-0, the obligatory 2-0 to the Reds, or
I'll take it. 3 clean sheets. Happy days.
Yeah, indeed. Ashley, what about yourself?
I mean, I'm hoping for a clean sheet, but I do think that we haven't faced the kind. I hesitate to call them attacking power, because I don't think that they have like a clinical attacking finisher right now that's fit. And even when he was fit, I still wouldn't call him clinical. But I think that their forwards are going to be more dangerous than the ones that we've faced so far. So I'm going to say 2-1. I think we might concede, but hopefully it's a clean sheet.
Yeah, well, no, Matt, she's right. You know, we have to concede at some stage, you know. But look, all joking aside, I think looking at United and watching them against Brighton, Amad Diallo looked like he could be a threat from wide areas. Garnacho, when he comes in, looks like he's a threat. You know,
I didn't understand the front two playing Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes as a pair.
That's what I was going to come to. Like, I don't really get what you're trying to do, and this is where I'm leading with this one, Kevin, and I'll give it to you. You know, Eric Ten Hag, it's his third season there now, and to me, he looks like he's just throwing shit at a wall and hoping something will stick, even though he's buying all his players that have played for him at some stage or that passed by him in the street or whatever, and he just wants to get all these players that know him. But he still, to me, doesn't look like he's developing any sort of cohesive plan or way of playing, because you hit the nail on the head there. They're putting Rashford on a wing while putting Fernandes and Mount as two false nines. I can't, look, famous last words, I can't see that killing us next week. Do you think he'll do something different for the occasion? We spoke about Slot not hopefully not doing something different. Do you think Ten Hag will try something different?
Yeah, I think he will. It'll depend on who's left at the club by the time the window closes. I could see him putting Scott McTominay on Ryan Gravenberch.
Is he not sold?
No, he's still at the club. He came on against Brighton, didn't he?
I thought I seen today they've accepted a bid from Napoli for him. Really? So he'll be out.
Well, I'm just looking at a thing here where Napoli have accepted, or there's a bid gone in from Al Ahly for Victor Osimhen for €65 million. So we'll see. Yeah. But whoever is there, I can see them putting a man on Ryan Gravenberch and stopping the ball into Gravenberch, stop us building through that player, forcing us to do something different. I was gobsmacked when Xerxes came on, and he came on to the left wing, and he moved Rashford to the middle. Xerxes looks a handful. He was good for Bologna last year. He was the main reason why Bologna got into the Champions League this season. You know, he's a unit, and I don't know if I don't think he's got to set the world on fire, but I think he can do a job and he can be a handful.
I wouldn't disagree.
But that's how I think he'll probably try to approach it, is he'll try to stop us playing through the six, be it with a Mason Mount or Scott McTominay, someone to sit on Gravenberch and play man for man. I think he'll be quite happy to stand off and give us the ball at times, you know. But at the same time, last year they matched us up and went for it in some games, you know, and took us by surprise, because we were expecting them last year. We were doing the post-match, the previews, for them to stand off and part the bus and this and that, and they didn't. They went for it. Them at home, Rashford is still a threat if he plays. He gets the right service into him on that wing, on his day, he can be a handful. You know, no point saying he's not. He is. It's just the rest of them. Do they have enough joined up thinking between them to keep us out for 95, 90, 99 minutes, whatever it is? I don't think they do. But I expect them to do something different. I don't expect them to play 4-2-2 again. You know, I'd be gobsmacked if he does that. That would be so naive. That'd be naive in the extreme.
I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, he has that in his locker. It wouldn't surprise me, actually, in all fairness, if he went to a back three for this game and tried to play with De Ligt on one side, Maguire and Martinez as a three, with two sitters in front of them, and see.
They'll probably have Ugarte at that stage, won't they?
I think they need him. You've watched a fair bit of him. They desperately need him, because I think Kobe Mainoo is a proper player. You know,
been missing in James Milner's pocket for the last couple of days, so I don't know. If
I still think
back
he's a
next
really
week.
good player.
He is. He's an excellent player.
You know,
Jesus, Kev, I tried to crack a little joke there, and you're killing me.
But like, no, look, I still don't think it's going to be an easy one. It never is. But they're going to have to adapt to us. I don't think we're going to adapt to them.
I think we battered them there twice last year and just didn't take.
And didn't get the result. That was it.
You know, we allowed them into the game, didn't we, on both of those away games last season? And I don't think we can afford to do that this year. So I think if we want to get something out of this game, I think we have to go at it, you know, and not allow them into the game. So, you know, we spoke about the 2 matches so far this season where it's been a slow first half, it's steady, controlled, and then boom, second half. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see us missing chances. You know, I don't want to see us giving up. And it was the goal that Lucho got today, and you touched on it, Kev, the fact that he just took that on and smacked it and just powered it in. He didn't try to cut back onto his right foot. He didn't try, you know, and slow it down. He done it quick. I'm glad to see he done that. I'm glad to see Jota getting goals. I'm glad to see Mo getting goals. I think we will be a bit more clinical now, hopefully this time. Not having to dig out at Darwin, but that's where Darwin has probably let himself down a little bit, is that he hasn't been as clinical. For what it's worth, I think it's going to be a 3-1. I do agree with Ashley. I think we will concede. But I think we will be comfortable in this one. But I suppose time will tell. Time will tell. Man of the match from today. Ashley, I'll start with you. Who and why?
I think there's a few that could actually step in. I think the one that stood out for me was Szoboszlai. I loved his amount of running. I loved his recovery runs coming back. Like there were several times where he used his pace. I mean, like I said, I think there's easily 3 or 4 of them that fall into this category, but he's the one that caught my eye today.
Yeah, good. Because he doesn't get a lot of credit, and I think he's been excellent in the 2 games we've seen so far. Maybe not with the ball as much, but certainly off the ball, I think he's been absolutely brilliant, and I think he'd be a key player for us. Kev, who and why?
Ibu Konate. Won every single duel, won every ground duel, didn't give the boys 76 passes, completed 73.
That's you criticism, isn't it, that he's not, you know, great with the ball? But if you're not losing the ball, that's okay with me.
I just look at it and I think when he's on it, he's as good as any centre back in the game. When he's on it, it's hopefully his body allows him to play a full season. He's a phenomenal player, and I love it when he channels his inner Joel Matip and takes a ball and just breaks into midfield, draws a player to him and lays it off and goes back. Having that in your locker, even if you only do it once, it makes midfielders look at you in a different way. And I loved everything about his game today. There's plenty of players played really well, but I thought he was standout.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on 73 accurate passes out of 76, 96%. He won 3 out of 3 ground duels and 1 out of 1 aerial duel, and you can't ask for more than that from a centre back, can you? So I think he's a strong candidate. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I would have said Konate as well. The other thing is he had the header off the Brentford corner that leads to our first goal as well too. So he's got the pre-assist on that one. But seeing as that Kev took Konate and summed him up very well, I'll go with Luis Diaz. I think the width that he offers us and the electricity he has on the ball. I mean, a goal and an assist. So he's got the numbers to back it up as well too. But we can get extremely narrow. Especially at the times where you see Trent inverting. There was times where Trent was the left-sided of the double pivot. There was times where it looked like Trent was playing as a number 10 almost. And we're getting very, very narrow. But the one player that's almost always willing to put chalk on their heels is Luis Diaz. And when he gets that ball, he's standing his man up a lot more. He's taking his man on. He's being a lot more decisive. Like, It might have been Gab and Shawnee, actually. They were on the Kop talk right after the game, saying that he's only taking 2 or 3 touches. to make a decisive move and beat a player and get to the middle of the park, as opposed to taking 5, 6, 7 touches to do it. So, yeah, I really like Luis Diaz for that, and it's impressive from a guy that went pretty much straight from the Copa America final right into starting matches for Liverpool. Like, he had no off time this summer, so good on him.
Yeah, three different choices. That was, I think it sums her up at the moment that our players performing. Luis Diaz, 27 accurate passes out of 27, 100%. So again, it's about protecting the ball, isn't it? It's not giving that ball away. And even though he's a winger, he's winning his battles and he's forcing his way into games. So another good choice. I would have given it to Konate myself, but I'm going to pick Ryan Gravenberch. I'm going to go for another one, totally a different player. Again, just because I think he breaks up play well. I think under pressure, he's a very press resistant player. And again, I think Ashley might have said it earlier, he's very Dutch. They're brought up doing that. And I'm seeing sort of green shoots of Gini Wijnaldum when he was sort of transformed from an attacking midfield player into a more system not a hold midfielder, but an engine, a cog in the engine, and I think Gravenberch can do that. And I just think 2 games in a row there that he's come in and he's won his battles. He's set the tempo in midfield, and I think he's just been excellent as well. So again, we could have had Mo Salah, we could have had Trent Alexander-Arnold, we could have had Virgil van Dijk. There was a lot. I think Kev, you said it. I think everybody played well today, and it just sums her up that there's a lot of choices for the man of the match. So yeah, we'll split. We'll give it to one player each. Look, we'll finish it there, guys. Just to let everyone know, yeah, the other lads are off at the match today. So Gavin, Shawnee, Matt touched on it there. They were on the Kop TV talking after the game. They were there. Emmett was there. Emmett's celebrating his 5th or 6th birthday this month. It's been an emotional month for them. Queen Elizabeth didn't have as many birthdays as this fella, but happy birthday, Emma, and all that sort of stuff. And they're with Shawnee's cousin, Carlo Shea. Poor Carlo was getting wheeled around in a wheelchair in Liverpool. So, thoughts and prayers go out to Carl. And Chris Brack was with him, and he's in the chat there. I hope, Chris, you were keeping an eye on them and didn't let them go too mad. But, anyone that sees them, give them a wave. Throw a few quid in a cup for Carl. We get him home safely to Ireland. Matt, have you anything else before we finish?
Make sure you got your notifications on, because permitted that they don't go too wild tonight, I would expect that Gav and Emmett and Shawnee might be putting out a little bit of impromptu content from Liverpool City sometime tomorrow. So yeah, make sure you got that notification bell turned on and catch that and get into the chat live. And hopefully they actually, hit the go live button on the camera this time, because I bet you that 20 minutes they did yesterday was gold.
It's a story, a tale as old as time, where they're forgetting to press record on these things. Kev, anything else before we go?
No, look, enjoyed today. 3 points, 6 points on the board. Only 4 teams have 6 points on the board. 2 clean sheets. Could be a busy week ahead. It's just going to be, look, we'll see what happens during the week. Hopefully something happens. Hopefully we're having smiles in Friday night rather than frustrating Friday night.
Wishful thinking, Kev, wishful thinking. It's not going to happen.
It's
not going to happen. Ashley, anything before we go?
No. I'm glad to hear Kev with a little bit of positivity. That's nice. And a shout out to whoever bought the umbrella drinks today. I really enjoyed that. So if you do see the guys out in the city center, feel free to send more umbrella drinks, because that was a lot of fun.
There you go. There's top tip, straight from the scene of Jaws 1 and Jaws 2. So we'll leave it there. I've been your host, Keith. Thanks to Matt, Kevin, Ashley for jumping on tonight. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll be back again, I'm sure, soon. As Matt touched on, look out for some sneaky extra shows from Liverpool. They're always a good bit of crack. I'm going to hit this outro now, and it's probably not going to work like the intro, but we will see what happens. Take care, folks, and we'll see you all again soon. Didn't work. Of course it didn't.
It looks, I see.